Everyone, and good evening. Welcome to Boot Camp for the third day. Now, my name is Pam and I'm taking over from Chelsey today. Tonight, we've actually got Kimberly Priest, who is a coach, course creator, mentor, who uses dynamic coaching techniques to help people achieve the ultimate in personal and professional fulfillment. Her philosophy is very simple: cultivate more joy in your day and greater success, and life satisfaction will follow. Kim is not only a motivational speaker and breathwork expert, her keen eye for interior design also plays a crucial role in creating environments that promote her clients' well-being. Welcome, Kim.
Hi.
How are you?
So well, thank you.
That's good. Great. That's a little bit of an introduction there, but would you mind giving us a little bit more of a background? Because I know that you have a background story to get to where you actually are now.
Yes. I to share a little bit of my background, sort of my life story, I guess, told in a couple of minutes, is that I had my son quite young. Before I had my son, I was in a pretty bad place. I had been through a lot of trauma, and it was quite bad. And I chose to deal with the things I'd been through by taking drugs to like escape my reality. So as a teenager, there was a year or two there where I was pretty messed up. And then I got pregnant with my son, and I thought, oh my goodness, I cannot have a child with an unhappy mother. And so underneath all the addiction issues, was still me in there. And I pulled my finger out and I was like, right, I need to go and give my son a happy mother. And so I thought, what do I need to do? What are we told? And we're told, go and be successful, right? You be successful and then you'll be happy. And I was like, oh, go and do that. And so I went and did that, and I started working for a marketing company. And at 22, I was state manager for the marketing company, and I was okay. So it felt kind of good, but I was like, oh, that didn't really work. Like I'm not that happy, and I want my son to have a really happy mum. So I decided that I'll do the next thing that people say, which is to follow your passions. And I'm like, well, I'm really passionate about interior design, so I'll go do that and I'll go and follow my passion. So I studied interior design, and I really loved kitchen, so I got into kitchen design. And anyway, ended up selling kitchens, and then got into sales management again. But throughout that process, I realized that that didn't really work either. Like, following your passions, I don't actually think that makes you happy either. And so I got a few years into that process, and I was like, well, what am I supposed to do? Because I want my kids to have a happy mom. And so I read so many books on happiness, and essentially I really ended up developing a process that supported my happiness levels. And I felt like this is it. Like, I've cracked the code on happiness. And when I did that, I noticed that every time I was happier, like, my sales results would improve, my team's sales results would improve, and like, I'd sell more kitchens and my teams would sell more kitchens. And so I thought, this is it. It's about what you do every day to support your happiness. And when you look at it from a scientific level, which I really dived into, like I've done at university, it's just a certificate, but I did a certificate on happiness through Berkeley, and I read every book I could written by everyone who's got a PhD in happiness. And I learned that happiness actually does bring success. So it's not the other way around, although it can bring some. It's really true, and it brings health, and it brings all of these other things. And so then it became my mission that now I want to inspire a million people and help them learn to be happier, and help a lot of mums like drop the guilt about working on their own happiness. Because when you are happier, everyone around you, everyone in your circle becomes happier also. So
Yeah,
that's sort of, yeah.
yeah. It's I totally agree, but I mean, this is a very loaded question. Do you truly believe that we can be happy every single moment of the day?
No, no, it's not. That question has surprised me. Yes. No, I do not believe it's possible. And I actually found myself, before I got into the whole having a daily happiness routine system that I use, before I did that, I would actually find myself beating myself up for not being happy, because my children deserved to have a happy mom. And I had money and I had a good career. So I didn't deserve to not feel happy. Like, how dare I not feel happy? And one thing I learned along the way was allowing yourself to not be okay when you don't feel okay is so important, and allowing all kinds of emotions to come up and not fighting them, because when you fight those negative emotions, you create more of them, and they're normal. They're all
Yeah.
normal. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and life is a roller coaster, right? There's little things that kind of happen along the way. And I mean, I like to refer to it as the shit pit. We're in the shit
Yes.
pit, but then, we have to like get ourselves out of that. And sometimes it takes longer than others, depending on the situation and what else is kind of going on in life. But it can be a
Especially
multitude.
mums, hey.
I think, yeah, I mean, we were talking before, obviously we went live, and I think as a mum, I mean, I definitely did. I didn't know what made me happy. I lost
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
because literally my life was single mom. Even when I was married, my husband worked FIFO. He was working in a 4 week on, 1 week off roster. Like
Yeah,
I'm
same.
trying to
Yeah.
work. So it was the grind, right? And I didn't really know what else made me happy because I wasn't a priority. It was always the kids.
Yeah. Yeah. And that overwhelm that creeps in, and all of that definitely happens. Did you find that once you started working on yourself, all of a sudden it actually had a positive impact on your children, though, that you
Oh,
felt happy?
massively. Yeah,
Yeah.
massively. And like, I love my kids through and through, but part-time parenting for me works, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
because like I get a break from them and I have the ability to rest and recoup. And then when I'm present with them, I'm actually with them, right? And I'm a much better person for it.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I found that um I would try and carve out some time in my day so that because they're although I separated from my husband as well before that happened, and even after that happened, he didn't really have them, so I didn't have that break that would have been so nice. And I think you've probably naturally fallen into a bit of happiness because you got to do some things that made you feel happy just naturally. I definitely had to take a bit more action on it. I ended up developing this like full daily happiness routine where I focused on breathing, connecting with myself and others, but definitely myself and what I want, and then movement. And I found if I did those three things every day, and the way I got it done was to get up before the kids got up. And it was like when I first started doing it, it was like I was a kid waking up on Christmas Day. And I was like, why have I never tried this before? You hear things like meditation's so good for you and journaling's so good for you. And so is learning about what you love. It's so good for you. And you're like, I'm a mum. How can I fit all that in? I can't fit all that in. And then I realized, like, you actually can. You just do little micro amounts of it, and you do it all in one routine, and you do it in those times where you're away from your kids. So after they've gone to bed at night or in the morning, and you just do it all in one session. And then if you do it at the same time every day, it becomes a habit, because we're creatures of habit and we just live our lives on autopilot most of the time. So whatever you're doing all the time, once you've been doing something all the time, it actually is more uncomfortable to not do it than it is to do it. So it's like after the initial habit set up, it's yeah, it's great. So I kind of
Yeah,
had
I
to
mean,
do that.
yeah. So coming back to that habit, it's all about priorities, right? I mean, now we know you can just look at your phone and look at your screen time that you've actually spent for that day, and you can see how
Oh,
much time you've actually wasted. So you think about when
absolutely.
you're putting that time into something else, then, we actually do have time. So when you're
Absolutely.
talking about your routine and your little micro moments that you're having, how long did that, like, is that like a half an hour kind of a time frame, or what works?
Well, it would be different every time. So some mornings you've got an early start, right? Or something's on. And so you don't have time to spend a chunk. When I first started, I liked to do an hour to an hour and a half. So I'd get up as early as I needed to ensure that would happen. But the mornings where I couldn't fit in much, I would just do 5 minutes, like a minute of getting present and meditating, maybe reading 2 pages of a book on a topic I'm interested in, and doing a little bit of movement just to get some blood flowing. And then I felt like I'd connected with something that I wanted to learn about. I might have done a little bit of journaling, write down something I'm grateful for. Gratitude is huge, 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 huge one. But it needs to be a habit because we're not wired to be grateful. We are wired to spot issues in our life. It's a survival mechanism. So if you want to feel more grateful, it's really a habit that needs to be introduced, is my personal belief, if it doesn't come naturally. But, everyone's different. Different things are going to bring joy to people in different ways. Like some people might hate reading, and so that's not going to work for them. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, if anything from 5 minutes to an hour and a half. And these days I tend to spend probably, to be completely honest, the last 2 weeks I have not been doing as much time, but I these days generally spend a couple of hours on my routine, and it's a lot of goal setting and manifesting and visualizing, and I use a lot of recorded breathwork techniques and lots and lots of different things. I've also got these things called mind movies that actually in my course I teach you how to make a mind movie where you set up your goal in pictures, and it's got affirmations written over the top that really align for you and music in the background, and you watch that and all of the feelings you generate are so beautiful and so positive, and it's like 2 minutes. Like what you can do to your brain in the space of 2 minutes blows my mind, and I love it.
Yes. So like with those movies and things, would you normally just encourage somebody to watch it once, or, you can take those moments even through the day, through the car, like when you're driving around, even just to listen as opposed to just looking? Would you keep continuing playing that through the day as well to try and reinforce those?
I definitely am careful with not necessarily doing that, but I'm definitely careful with like what music I listen to, because you're constantly being programmed, and what's going into your mind is definitely having an effect. So you are going to be more anxious if you watch things that fuel your anxiety. It's just what's going to happen. If you watch a lot of crime things, you're going to develop some fear about the world. It's kind of impossible not to, is my personal belief anyway, based on my experience. Yeah. But I think that definitely little micro things to do throughout the day in regards to habits. I think breathing is the most powerful one. I'm obviously, as you know, very passionate about the breath, and I'm a breathwork coach and breathwork facilitator. And I believe that you can go from one state to another in the space of 5 minutes using the breath.
Yeah.
When you've got something. And if you'd like, I can share one of the breathwork techniques I use to really drop into feeling calm.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be amazing. So I think like just relating it back to the lymphatic system and how important breath is for the lymphatic system to make sure it's functioning the way that we like to. I mean, yeah, definitely. If you want to share that, that would be amazing.
Well, the lymphatic system, does it work as effectively when you're in fight or flight?
Mhm.
Like it doesn't, does it?
No.
No. So what you want to do is try and, as much of the day as possible, be in the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the nervous system that is the calmest, the rest and digest, they call it. And that's where your lymphatic system is going to be working its best. And you can access that state through the breath. So I almost often recommend to people that you can kind of forget about, people put a lot of importance on thoughts and how you think. But I think that if you could focus on your breath and your physicality first, your thoughts can kind of catch up afterwards. So the breath that I really like to use to really calm myself down, and it works every time. It doesn't matter how stressed I am. If I do this breath for 5 minutes, it just goes away. So it's called nose slow low. So you breathe in through your nose for 3 seconds and out through your nose for 5 seconds. And if you can manage to do it for 9 seconds, and if you can do that for 5 minutes a few times a day, you are going to be calmer. But if you can do it before you have some kind of thing that you're nervous about as well, just for a couple of minutes, your heart rate will slow down. And that's what we want. We want to have a slower heart rate. Animals with the slower heart rate and the slower breath, they live longer. So it increases your longevity. And there's lots of reasons why, but the lymphatic system would have a huge, huge part of that.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
Absolutely. Not only like multiple other health reasons, right? And I think
Yeah.
sometimes we don't realize how shallow our breathing actually is until we're like
Mm.
get caught off guard. We're like, "Oh, okay, I need to take a breath, right?" And we get up in the
Yeah.
morning and we're like, go, 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 go. And we're pretty much sitting in that stress state. Majority of the time, we live in a 24/7 world, right? We wake up in the
Yeah.
morning, pick up our phone, stimulates our stress response. We go have a coffee on an empty stomach, stimulates our stress response. Like
Absolutely.
if there's all of these moments through the day where we're just sitting that fight or flight. And I'm
Mm.
constantly saying to clients as well, look, if it's just 2 minutes, just go stand outside for 2 minutes and take a few deep breaths. Or,
Yeah.
you know, if it is that morning tea time and you want to have a coffee, take a few breaths and smell the actual coffee and just slow down.
Yeah.
We just
I think
can't.
that's so important to do you can do some deep breaths before you do those really timed breaths, because that can oxygenate you a bit before you drop in and do those really slow breaths. Because here's a funny thing, 90% of us are actually over breathing. So we're told by, we'll go to a yoga instructor and we'll be told to do some deep breathing. Now, this has its place and it can be amazing for you. But in regards to actually being super calm, it's not the best way. So you'll feel some initial calm after you do some deep breaths, but the real power comes from your out breath being longer than your in breath, and it being super, super slow and gentle. And definitely filling your lung all the way to the bottom of your lung to the top, but making it slow, and you're out longer than you're in. Because what's happening, the science behind it is what's happening is we actually are over oxygenated, a lot of us, and we're not actually having enough carbon dioxide build up. Carbon dioxide is what helps us to digest, or our blood cells to like digest and absorb the oxygen. So when we like over breathing, like, when you go for a run, you start panting and you're puffed. If you can actually manage to, like, every few breaths, do a breath hold with a nearly empty lung while you're running and create a bit of air hunger, you're going to allow the carbon dioxide to build up. You're actually going to have more oxygen in your blood that's absorbed. So the problem is we've got all this oxygen in our blood and we're not absorbing it. And it comes from over breathing. And we're taught to do it. We're taught by the most amazing yoga teachers in that, like, to do this deep breathing. And it's it's not actually going to steady your heart as much or slow your heart, which is what you want if you need to or want to be super calm. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, we're also talking about Louise Hay and how, disconnection from joy is the emotion attached to the lymphatic system and the problems with that as well. So it's really
Yes,
interesting that when you're not feeling happy, your lymphatic system is also not going to be functioning the way that we'd like it to as well. So
that's so
yeah,
true.
it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
And then so when we're thinking about happiness as well, there's definitely moments through life I'm like, oh yeah, I'm happy, but I kind of want more.
Yeah. Yeah. It's that kind of like that little empty happiness. It's like, I'm fine. I'm
Yeah.
just cruising though. And I'd really like to have some more joy. And there's definitely lots of activities you can do to bring joy. And I think a lot of us get it wrong. Like I have, like many of us have, we think joy is red wine or like a bit of dark chocolate. And it certainly does give us a little hit. But I think the really true joy comes when we feel really fulfilled and that we feel like we're doing good in the world. We feel good about ourselves and what we do. And it's a really calm, happy, fulfilled feeling. And that's what I like to help people generate. And I think that when you're feeling that really calm, happy, fulfilled, not that ecstatic, energetic happiness, but that calm, fulfilled happiness, that's where your body works really well. And there's just countless studies on what you're talking about that prove that happiness helps your health, your lymphatic system, your levels of success. There's so many studies on it now. And just to talk into, one of the people just commented earlier about just the breath, that they struggle with the longer out breaths. I just wanted to let everyone know that's actually completely normal. And what it is your ego trying to protect you. It's saying you're not safe, you don't have enough air. Just know that you are safe. And so when you're practicing that breath, remind yourself that you're safe. You're not going to die, you're safe. You're safe. And then just you can keep the practice up. But if the long breath is activating you too much in that way, then you can just shorten that out breath. But just even if you did like in for 4 and out for 6, even that, just that slight extra length, it might not feel as panicked. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and definitely start with the shorter stuff and then build up. It's the same as meditation, right? I always go, just start with 2 minutes. It's really a trained skill to turn your brain off from that perspective. And then you can just gradually build on that. You don't need to sit down and say for 30 minutes. I mean, no one's going to fucking do that. Let's be honest.
Absolutely. It's like even just go chuck your timer on for 5 minutes and then do some even breaths. If you don't like the longer out breath, you can even just do slow even. You can go in for 5 and out for 5. It's enough to get your heart rate variance down and you'll feel the power. You'll just feel calmer.
Yeah.
But deep breaths feel really good too. They do. They have their place. They definitely do. It's just that, yeah.
Yeah. So coming back to that, so what's some things when we're in that state of happiness, what's some other things that we can do or some tips that can get us like to that next level?
So one activity that I really like that I believe works really well is unpacking what your values are. And if you know so a way to unpack what your values are is say you can write a list of like 6 things that you love to do. And underneath each of those 6 things, you write why you love that thing and what value is it. So for example, I really like to drive. I love driving. Why do I like it? I like a sense of freedom. I like the autonomy, and you might list underneath that, what are the values that drive why you like that? Pick all of the values in those lists that repeat, and that's your drivers, that's your values. And if you can link up what you do and live a life in line with those values, and everyone's is going to look totally different. And this is the thing, because it's not a straight answer to that question, because it has to feel good for you specifically, and that's different for everyone. And it comes down to your values. So yeah, if you really value connection, you're going to get more out of a phone call to a really good friend than someone who really values wealth, for example. They're going to get more out of signing up a new client or than they will from a phone call from a friend. So your values, knowing them and doing an activity where you get to know them, so good for you. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've lost connection though, and we've lost community. I mean, and that's my personal opinion, just with obviously technology and the way phones are and how people are just buried in them. You know how many times you go out to dinner and people are just on their phones and not actually having a conversation. You just think, what the fuck's the point? But
yeah, I hear you. Yeah, what the fuck's the point?
So
true.
Just stay at home and do that. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
But we forget like how much that probably actually does make us feel happy, because when we're feeling isolated, we become unhappy as well. And COVID proved that for us.
Yeah. Yeah, it's connection is, there's a study, the longest study they've ever done on happiness. The outcome of that study is that the single biggest determining factor to long-term happiness is the quality and quantity of the connections in your life, the connections you have with other people. And that's what I think the study's been going for, I think it's over 70 years. And it's really interesting, and it really shows the value in connection. And sometimes you might think you don't value it that highly, but then think about how you feel after you've called an old friend or spent time with someone in your family that you really love, and how you feel when you walk away, because often you'll find you feel really good and really fulfilled with that connection. Someone just mentioned the box breathing method: in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4. Yes, this can be good to steady your heart rate as well. Anything to steady your heart rate is good. However, I do believe that the most powerful one is just probably the most comfortable way to reach that power breath where your out is longer than you're is in for 4 and out for 6. That's probably the easiest. And that will allow you a lot more calm and a lot more power, especially if you're going into like a meeting or something you're nervous about. The box breathing does work as well. I just, from a scientific point of view, what I've learned is the other one I spoke about, it works a little bit better. Navy SEALs use box breathing quite a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've actually got a question as well. What do you suggest for my this is a school teacher, sorry, I should
Yeah.
clarify, and she encourages to them to take deep breaths, and she's
Yes.
asking, what do you suggest for my little humans when helping them co-regulate?
I definitely recommend talking to them about even breaths. So talk to them rather than deep breaths, talk to them about really soft, even breaths, and just say, hey, let's just count and let's just do some even breathing. And count with them. So let's go in for 4, 2, 3, 4, and out for 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, in for 4, and just do that with them like 3 or 4 times, and you'll see. You'll see if you do that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good tool to do maybe at a brain break. I'm only knowing this because my kids are in primary school. That they can, around that time that they can, reset and restart again and going into the
Yeah.
next lesson as well. Or
Yeah.
maybe on a
Like in
Friday
between,
afternoon. Yeah, when they're
reset.
feral.
Yeah. I mean, not all kids you're going to be able to get them to do that either. Like my best friend's a teacher and she works at a school where there's a lot of trauma and there's a lot of troubled children, and yeah, and possibly going in there to assist with some breath for them. But you can't control. You can teach the method, but you can't control whether they are going to do it properly or actually use it in the future. But you just got to give and hope for the best. I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So coming back to like the happiness, how do we like kind of know what our baseline and our normal level is, right? Because we're
Oh,
so
yeah.
busy and going through the grind and we just sometimes forget.
Yes. Oh, I'm so passionate about baseline happiness because what they say is that, you can have really terrible things happen in your life and have really good things happen in your life, which obviously we label them so, but some of them things that happen make us feel really good emotionally, and other things happen that knock us emotionally. What they believe and what's been proven, like even lotto winners win the lotto, is that they come back to this thing called the baseline level of happiness. So you always are regulating back to just your standard level of happiness. And this level of happiness, a lot of it is genetic. So there is like at least half your happiness level that you just can't do anything about it. It's how you grew up, it's from your childhood, it's from your early years where things are formed in you and your beliefs are formed. And there's just part of that they've proven you just can't actually change. There's 10% of your happiness they believe is circumstantial, but they believe that 40% of your happiness you can actually impact through your daily activities.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's not 100%. And it's easier for some than others. And some people, you see them, they're just naturally happy. They don't need to do any techniques. They've got a naturally high baseline level of happiness. So there's the whole nature versus nurture conversation there too. But definitely they're both real. Some things are nature, some things are nurture, some things are genetic. You're born with a certain genetic framework around happiness and hormones and all those chemicals in your brain. So, but yeah, definitely the nurture part of it growing up affects some of it. And then the rest, as adults, we have the ability to actually shift. And it just excites me so much because I know, like, when you get happier, it just has this flow on effect to everything, like your health and your success. And I even believe your finances, because sometimes your finances are a certain way. It's actually your belief around and how your finances make you feel that's more important. Some people feel really abundant and wealthy, and they've got like no assets and like 2 grand in the bank, and they feel so good and so wealthy. Other people feel really tight and skint and poor and unhappy about their finances, and they've got like a $2 million property and a nice car, but they don't feel like that. So it's interesting. You can really generate how you feel about things, and yeah, and it really excites me that you have some control over how you feel, but it comes down to what you do every day, and that's the bit you get to choose. So you do not, personally, I believe you do not get to choose your feelings. And I actually get the shits when I see advice like choose happiness. It's like, are you fucking serious? You don't just go, oh, I'm not feeling too happy today, do you know what, I'll just decide to be happy. Or someone says to you, oh, just don't stress about it. It's like, oh, great idea. Like, I hadn't thought of that. I just won't stress about it, you know? So I think that it's not a case of like, you can't just choose your emotional state, but you can choose how you react to your emotional state. So like when a sad feeling comes in, I don't believe in squashing it and ignoring it. I believe in feeling it. Feel it. Go with it. Have a cry. And then, you know, allow it for a few minutes, not hours, not days, minutes, allow it. And then go do something. Go do something to shift it, like go for a walk, do something active, do some breath work, movement, I think, rather than trying to like think your way out of it. Like movement and breath works. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my meditation is my exercise, right? I
Mm.
go to the gym. I don't have to think about anything, but that's how I regulate. And obviously, it produces lots of happy hormones as well. So that's a
Mm.
flow-on effect. But it
That's
makes me
right.
feel good.
Makes you feel good. It's like you don't really need to think your way out of your problems. Like you think, I mean, obviously all the trauma I went through, I've had a lot of counseling in my life and go to the counselor and then I'd leave and I'd be like, fucking sadder than when I went in. I feel like crap. Like this didn't help me. Like then like go for a big walk or a run. And after that, providing your levels are all good, you've got enough iron and all that. So you get a blood test,
Yeah.
but providing your levels are all good and you do some exercise and some movement, you can't help it. You will feel better. It's scientific. It's just what happens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
look, you're talking to a high achieving perfectionist here. So I had to learn to let go of control.
Well, that is so hard. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so
Can be.
hard.
Yeah,
10
it can be.
years. But much better now. So it's hard, like when you're in that kind of movement, you don't really feel like, unless you're achieving something, then the happiness is not essentially there at times.
Mm. Well, that sense of accomplishment. And I think that to bring in more of a sense of fulfillment, another little technique you can do is look at what you do. They believe that people that believe their job or what they do for a living, if they believe that it's of service and they believe that it's towards the higher good and they believe that it's their calling, that they're proven that they're actually happier than the people that believe that gotta go to work. You know, so if you can find a way to frame what you do, and it's possible for any job, I swear, if you can frame what you do for work as your calling and as having a positive impact in the lives of others, it will help you to feel more fulfilled. And when with fulfillment comes joy. And with joy comes a whole heap of other things like health and all that. So, I mean, that's some mindset stuff, definitely. But I really believe the physical comes first. So doing some movement, doing some breath, changing yourself physically first before you try and like work on your mind. And then once you're in a better state, then do some mindset work. That's what I believe.
And are you a believer that you have to make sure that you essentially are happy yourself before you try and make other people happy?
Oh, that's a good question.
Or do you believe that even if you are not in a state of joy or happiness and you're not feeling great yourself, you can still make other people happy?
It's a really good question. What's springing to mind for me is Robin Williams, who made a lot of people happy and joyful and was really miserable. So, yes and no. I believe everything's energy. And I think the energy that you put out has an impact on those around you, positive or negative. So, if you're walking around like, oh, God, today's so hard and, oh, I have to do this and I have to do that, not like, I get to do this and I get to do that. Like, you're doing your washing and you're like, oh, it's like, hey, you have clothes. Like, you have clothes. How cool is that? You can wire your brain to be like that. Then, when you're around people and you're feeling more joyful, that joy is going to rub off on them. However, I do know plenty of people that are, that have been sad or felt those emotions that have still managed to help other people feel happy. However, I don't know if they can do it during the moments where they've been in the sadness and the despair. So it comes down to maybe in their moments of joy, they made others happy. But that's a really good question. I'm going to be thinking about that one for a while.
Oh my God, please sleep tonight. I don't, you need to get up early in the morning. You need to get some
I actually
sleep.
thought, yeah.
Don't overthink it. Our brains
Yeah.
love to do that too, which makes us very happy at times.
Yeah. Yes. It's interesting. It's all very
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm just reading through some of the comments here. And I agree. Yeah, some of the happiest people that I've ever met are actually the poorest people in the world. Uh,
Mm.
through my travels, through some third world countries. Yeah, they were amazing.
And
Um,
why? Why do you think?
I just, I think they're just grateful for having
Yeah,
the basics. Like they don't have,
that's right.
we're so materialistic and
Yeah,
yeah, just
that's
different.
right. This is why I believe that decluttering feels so good, because it leaves behind the things that you feel really grateful for. So when you do a declutter and you're getting rid of some of the stuff that you own that doesn't make you feel grateful because it's just stuff. Well, everything's just stuff, really. But if you leave behind only the things that you're like, oh, I really love this thing, you're allowed to love objects. It doesn't make you materialistic. You're allowed to love a certain outfit and how things make you feel. Um, you can have that, but when you actually really nut it down, you'll notice that there's not that many things that you own that really bring you that true joy. And so doing a cull of all those things, that's I think why decluttering feels so good. But I'll learn more about that. That's what I want to do my PhD in, is the study on your space around you and your level of happiness and your energy. I think there's a huge link.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they do. I think the people in the who is it? Hugh van Cykelberg, I think his name is. He's got a system called GEM, and he traveled to India and he taught children that were so poor, and these children so poor, so happy. He said he could not believe the level, the terrible mental health that there was back in Australia. He had a sister who was anorexic and terrible mental health from so many people in Australia. And then he's gone over to India with these kids have nothing. He went out to the playground one day and there's this broken swing with like a chain hanging off it. And this little boy runs up to him and says, do the children in Australia have awesome playgrounds like this? And he couldn't even bring himself to, he just sort of went, yes, mate. But here's this dirt playground with one swing frame with a chain hanging off it that all the kids took turns swinging on. It was broken. And yeah, so he discovered this thing because they also did mindfulness every morning and the kids didn't argue about it. The kids went in, it was optional. They had morning meditation and the children were allowed to choose whether they went to morning meditation or not. And 90% of the kids came in and did their morning meditation and 5 minutes of getting present and focusing on the breath. So he believes gratitude, empathy, because a lot of the kids really had empathy for others, and mindfulness, GEM, gratitude, empathy, mindfulness. And that was hugely why these poor people in India, that where he was, that's why they were so happy.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just reading in comments just saying decluttering the mind is also important. I 100%
Mm.
agree. Close down some tabs in there and get rid of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't do that very often.
Yeah. You got 1,000 tabs open.
I have 1,000 tabs open all the time. I think I have ADHD. That's okay though. I love it.
Yeah.
Own it.
Uh,
Own it.
Absolutely. Just own it.
Yeah.
So when it comes to like happiness or, anything along those lines, did you have any other tips for us?
The main thing is I just encourage everyone to try and carve out a portion of their day where they breathe, connect, and move. And please know that you can do it in 10 minutes if that's all you can spare. Breathe, connect, and connect means like connect with yourself, maybe journaling, anything to help you feel more fulfilled and grateful. And move, do something. Do you know what I love? 10 minutes on the treadmill while I watch Netflix. It's so easy. Treadmill, it was like $50 off Marketplace, and walk on it for 10 minutes while watching Netflix, and you have a little shift in your brain, your hormones and everything. So yeah, the daily routine is my biggest thing that I'm most passionate about for people to implement if they want more happiness.
Amazing. So if people want to find out more about you, where can they head to?
I have a link I can share in the chat.
Yeah, that'd be
And
amazing.
yes, I'll do that right now. So I've got
And
an
then we can get,
online happiness course where I teach people how to do the daily routine. So I'll pop that in there. But I also do coaching. So anyone that's got really, really massive goals in life, I do coaching as well. And I really like to help people who want to reach that next level of success and fulfillment. And I do methods with people where I talk you through certain breathwork techniques and stuff, and we do it a couple of times a week, and it's really good for you. So that's my online course there. I'll put my coaching page in there too, because if anyone's interested in booking a discovery call with me to have a chat about how I could possibly help, I can have a chat with you. And in that discovery call, I talk you through a daily breathwork technique that you can use. So it's a 30-minute phone call. So even if all you get out of it is the breathwork technique, I'm happy to have that chat. Yeah.
amazing. Well, Kim, thank you so much for your time tonight. Really appreciate it. And I hope everyone got a lot out of that. I'm sure I did as well. I know I learned a few things.
Love it.
Always.
Most of it's stuff everyone already knows. You hear it and you're like, oh, that makes sense. Yeah, I probably already knew that. Just a case of having a reminder, hey, all the time.
Yeah, sometimes we need that reminder, right? Like it's not always, and it's really hard. I mean, from a naturopath perspective, it's really hard to treat yourself. Hence the reason why I will always seek help for my own health, because you don't always see everything.
You don't do. It's not objective. It's not objective. Actually, just one other happiness tip has come to me, and this one is huge. Please, please understand that focusing on your happiness is selfless, not selfish. And this is especially important for mums to hear, because know that when you put that time into yourself to bring some joy in that you can generate, you put that time in, your happiness will impact the happiness of your whole family. You'll have a different energy. You'll answer their questions better. There's so many things that has a flow-on effect to everyone around you. So please feel selfless, not selfish, when you choose to work on your happiness.
Yeah, you don't like, if you're less irritated, you don't snap at them as often.
Yeah, just have less guilt about it. Like I think as mums, like so many of us just feel so guilty when we do stuff for us. You're like, oh, shouldn't I be everything you do for them? Like, shouldn't I be doing XYZ for them? Maybe, maybe stop packing their lunch and get them to pack their own lunch and invest that 20 minutes in yourself. You're going to teach them how to pack their lunch, and you're also going to invest in your own happiness. You're going to bring your children more joy and autonomy. Huge part of happiness is also the feeling of autonomy, and that you can like build up belief in your abilities and your skills. And you can start with basic ones like that for kids.
Yeah, absolutely. Although kids would fill their lunchbox with complete shit the whole time. So I won't let them just yet.
But you'll be happy. No, I'm kidding.
Bit of a nut. I won't be happy because they'll be eating terrible food. I'm a bit of a nut.
Yeah, they're so bad. When they're on bad food, that's like the worst.
Exactly.
The poor teachers. Oh, they've had roll-ups for lunch all day.
Yeah, exactly. I'll think of something else that I can implement.
There's a teacher in the chat. She's like, Kim, stop talking. Stop talking.
I know. I know. It's exactly right. Amazing. But no, I 100% agree. It is definitely, you need to take that time because you are a better human for it in all areas of life.
Yes, definitely. Jeanette's just said about if you push yourself 85% of the day, uncomfortable zone, which is what's needed for growth. That makes me, yes. That's if your value is growth, that will bring you so much joy. I have growth as one of my top values too, connection and growth, and definitely feel like that. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Kim. I hope everyone enjoyed that, and we'll catch you next time in boot camp.
Bye, guys.
See ya.